The annual intercity battle tonight between the Jaguars and the Eagles take place tonight from a very chilly evening in Bloomington Stadium. Good evening, everybody, along with Darryl Sellers. Mark Schultz with you from the north end of the stadium as we get set for the 2-1 Eagles off to their best start in recent years against the 2-2 Jaguars. Darryl, the Eagles were 2-0 going into the Eden Prairie game last week, and Eden Prairie, of course, this year very highly rated, a top 10 team. Kennedy gave them all they could handle in a 21-17 loss, so certainly Mike McKay's program this year is in very good shape.
Yeah, they did very well in their first conference game. One had to wonder after facing two teams outside of the conference how they do with that tough opponent opening up in the conference. They did well. They gave up 2 touchdowns on 4th downs where Kastner, the fine quarterback for Eden Prairie, made strong throws. But they held their own, had a chance to win the game, just couldn't quite finish off a last-minute drive, but showed that they can be competitive and might have their best season in a decade.
The Eagles, of course, we mentioned are 2-1, 0-1 in the conference schedule. This is their first home game of the season tonight as they enter week number 4. The first 3 games were on the road, and they had the open week, the bye week as well after their second week. Jefferson, on the other hand, is 2-2 at this point, and they cannot afford another conference loss at this point. They did beat Egan last week 17-7, but they are 1-2 in the conference, and if they go 1-3 in the Lake Conference schedule tonight, it really puts a damper on their hopes for finishing, at least getting a high seed in Section 6.
Yeah, it'll damper their seedings, that's no doubt. They lost a tough game here a couple weeks ago to Apple Valley, a game that might come back to haunt them. Let's hope it doesn't. But they do have to win this one tonight. It'll be big for them. They had a tough loss at Burnsville. These games get more and more important, and, of course, the intra-city rivalry is there. But important for both teams, also for Kennedy. They're looking at possibly getting their first win and being 3-1, and maybe thinking about finishing in the top 3 or 4 in the conference.
And, of course, the Eagles, of course, have the fortune of being able to have Apple Valley and Burnsville off the schedule, which has certainly helped their cause this year so far. We'll take a look now at the standings overall for the Lake Conference schedule. This is, of course, from the AP and the state. There you see their Eden Prairie, who Kennedy took on last week, finishing very well. They're 4-0. They have a big game tonight against Burnsville, who's ranked number 1 at this point. Then you see Valley and Jefferson, Egan, Rosemont, Kennedy, Lakeville bringing up the rear. But not a lot of space between Egan, Rosemont, and Kennedy. They're all kind of bunched together at this point, and basically the middle of the pack is still up for grabs.
Yeah, it's a strong top to bottom. In fact, the team, the state champion, defending champion of last year, Lakeville may be the weak link in the chain in the conference because they lost a lot of players. Their first year in the Lake Conference, they're finding it tough with not quite the numbers and the revered players they had last year. But you look at the other teams like Jefferson and Kennedy picked to finish near the bottom, might in fact finish near the top if they continue to play the way they have and get some victories under their belt.
We'll take a look now at the offensive standings throughout the conference, and this is the Lake Conference. This is total yards now as we go to a graphic here. And as we see there, the yards gained, Eden Prairie, of course, doing very well. They lead, averaging over 350 yards per game. Jefferson and Kennedy bringing up the rear, and of course the graphic that you notice with Kennedy, yards passing, only 58 yards passing in 3 games. Of course that statistic is misleading. Most of these other schools have played 4 games, but it is an area that Mike McKay is concerned about.
And they do have concern, but the strong point of the offense has been the run. Last 2 or 3 years, Lance Much coming on the scene 2 years ago, scoring his first touchdown, the first touchdown for the team in '91, and he took over for Mark Peterson in a substitute role. Since then, he's been the quarterback starting last year, and he can beat you running. Not known for his passing, but they definitely are predominantly a running team, and Jefferson more balanced.
Now, as we go down, speaking of passers, we go down to the passing column here as we take a look at the leading passers in the Lake Conference. And Lane Kiffin again at the top of the charts as he was the week before. And Kiffin, of course, replacing John Blanchard from last year. Kiffin throwing the ball very well, and his scrambling ability has done very well. But passing the ball has really improved from week to week to week. And last week against Egan had a very good game as well.
Yeah, and one of the important things, no interceptions 2 weeks in a row now. As a matter of fact, the team had no turnovers. That's been the big thing. He had a tough game against Apple Valley, Kiffin did, with some turnovers, but went back to his astute nature, not making the throws that were ill-advised, and has been steady and also a good scrambler and tough to sack.
Yeah, he's been very elusive. We found it certainly in the Apple Valley game. Going now to the receivers, we'll take a look at who's doing well in catching the ball in the conference. Dave Watson, you see at the top of the charts there. Lloyd Lee is ranked 4th in the Lake Conference schedule. Lee's, though, yards per catch is not highly impressive, has caught a lot of balls, but Watson this year has just been terrific.
Yeah, Watson's been their go-to guy in the intermediate to deep routes. Lloyd Lee coming out of the backfield will catch some more of the swing pass nature type of passes. Both really efficient. Kiffin looks to them often, and also Gibbs catches a few, but basically those are the 1-2 guys Kiffin will look for.
And we'll take a quick look at the rushing graphics now and see how they're doing running the ball. And, of course, we see Jay Foreman from Eden Prairie again at the top of the list. He's had a sensational year, but Cass Mosley right behind him, as you see Mosley averaging over 126 yards a game. So Mosley has had a terrific year so far, as he has the last couple of years.
Yes, Mosley's really come on since his sophomore year, developing more and more each year, and this year really coming onto the scene. Mosley also has 4 touchdowns, had 71 yards last week, and is really a strong runner with good speed.
He 71 yards on 11 carries, that is, against a very tough Eden Prairie defense. And speaking of the defense, we'll take a look at the kickers first of all. This is kind of a surprising graphic, not maybe from Jefferson's standpoint so much, but from Kennedy's, as Kirk Hansen has kicked the ball very well this year for Mike McKay's Eagles.
Yes, he has. 4 of 4 extra points and 2 of 2. He had a field goal last week, 26-yarder. And Jeff Giovinazzo missed his first kick here last week, a 44-yard field goal that was blocked, but he's been solid also and has good range.
And that may be a factor tonight. It's pretty windy outside. It's kind of died down right now, but of course it is cold, and that means the ball will be tougher to handle as the game wears on, and we'll see how much these two kickers factor in. Take a quick last look here at the defense to see how these two teams are doing. And although Kennedy ranked last in offensive production in the Lake Conference, very solid on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they've moved up to the middle of the pack. They're really tough with their blitzing linebacking scheme they use. Josh Mix, one of the top players in the state, has really developed, and he's helped that fine core defense. And Jefferson's side, they have a good core up front and good linebacking system and good secondary, too, all-around tough defense.
And, of course, the key defensively for Kennedy will be how they contain Lane Kiffin. Mike McKay has said that they plan to bring the outside linebackers a little bit tonight, keep them in the pocket, and the linebackers for Kennedy certainly mixed, as you mentioned, Rob Hollenbeck, Ted Mathis, very strong core.
Yes, they're very good, and they're veterans. They've been here for 3 years now playing, and they'll try to keep Kiffin in the pocket, not let him get outside of where he can have more options and be more dangerous. That'll be the assignment at hand, and hopefully they'll be able to rise to that task.
The Eagles and the Jaguars set to go off in the Battle of Bloomington. When we come back, we'll have tonight's starting lineups along with the opening kickoff right after this.
He graduated from one of the best medical schools, walked into a built-in practice, and he doesn't pay malpractice insurance.
Take a deep breath.
But that's not all he's got going for him. He's an Air Force flight surgeon. And to understand the stresses of high-speed flight, he has to experience them firsthand. So if you want to practice medicine in a more stimulating atmosphere, call 1-800-423-USAF. Aim high, Air Force.
Defensive end number 45, Bo Johnson. At linebacker, number 33, Matt Stump. Linebacker, number 86, Dave Watson. Outside linebacker, number 21, J.T. Cicchini. Left corner, number 22, Brant Grimes. Right corner, number 26, Shane Finley. At strong safety, number 40, Hawk Tia. And at free safety, number 29, Lloyd Lee. Please welcome the remaining staff and Coach Stan Shea and his coaching staff. And now introducing the starting offensive unit for the Kennedy Eagles. At split end number 81, senior Eric Lundquist. At tackle number 75, senior Kyle Dietz. At guard number 55, captain senior Rob Hollenbach. At center, number 78, junior Ted Bradley. At guard, number 61, senior Tony Gutierrez. At tackle, number 77, senior Kevin Hartman. At tight end, number 89, sophomore Andy Much. At the I-back, number 22, Captain Cass Mosley. At fullback, number 35, Captain Shannon Leonard. At wingback, number 7, Steve Willis. And at quarterback, number 11, senior Lance Much. Coach Mike McKay, his staff, and the balance of the 1993 Kennedy Eagles.
I got one, you can't. You can't use it on this one. No, I didn't get him.
And as you heard Mr. Marv Hartung, the defensive introductions for tonight's game. As I mentioned, Kennedy off to their best start in years, and we could probably say this for each game as we go along here, but this is a huge game for both of these schools. If Kennedy wins, they go to 3-1, going to the final road game next week. They have 3 out of their last 4 home games, or 3 out of the last 4 games are at home, rather. Jefferson, on the other hand, cannot afford to go 1-3 in the conference schedule, certainly at this point of the season.
Yes, I agree with you, Mark. This one has a big mark in the season here, because not just for the bragging rights within the city, which is always the case, but now both teams are in good position for seedings for the playoffs coming up later in the fall. And Kennedy usually not seeing themselves in this position as being maybe a front runner to getting a pretty good seeding, have a chance to vault themselves into that position. They can do that, be on their way to doing that by winning this one tonight.
And we are ready to go. And Jefferson will kick off. The wind, which was pretty strong at the start of this game, is kind of tapered off a little bit, but it's very chilly outside for this time of year. It's about 30 degrees right now. And with a strong wind and a cold temperature, that does play a little bit into Kennedy's hands. Of course, Kennedy more of a running team than a passing team, much more rather. But of course, when you got a couple of backs like Mosley and Leonard, how can you blame them?
Yeah, that's their strength, and they utilize it to the fullest, and it's been what's got them to where they are now, almost to a 3-0 start.
And we are ready to go as Mosley will be in the middle. Hiram Bonnet will be on the right, and on the left side will be David Robertson, as Jeff Giovinazzo is set to tee it up. And under a full moon, we are underway as Giovinazzo's kick will be taken by Mosley to 10. Mosley behind the wedge, the 20, the 25, still on his feet. And he is finally brought down at about the 28-yard line. And that's where the Eagles will start their first offensive drive at home of the year. First and 10 from their own 28-yard line. And let's run down that Kennedy offense real quick. The wide out will be Eric Lundquist, number 81. Left tackle to right tackle, Kyle Dietz, Rob Hollenbeck, Ted Bradley, Tony Gutierrez, and Kevin Hartman. And the backfield will be Steve Willis in the wing, fullback Shannon Leonard, tailback, of course, Mosley, and the quarterback, senior number 11, Lance Much.
From the Kennedy 28-yard line.
And finally, the officials have the ball in place. And the Eagles now approach the line on a 1st and 10 as Lundquist comes to the near side. They'll line up out of the eye. Double tight end set. Now they shift, and it will be Much off the play action pass. Lance fires, and it is incomplete for Leonard at the 35-yard line. Pretty well covered out there, though, by number 54 for Jefferson, Scott Feltman, and it becomes 2nd and 10.
Feltman with some help from Cicchini covering out in the left flat, and also good pressure from Bo Johnson getting the start tonight. At left in, as we see Scott Feldman there. Johnson had a fine game on special teams last week, and that warranted him getting a start tonight.
2nd and 10. This time is Willis is in the wing to the near side. Much loses the ball, but he quickly recovers as he mishandled the snap from center Bradley. And a couple of yards lost on the play. They'll call it 1 yard loss, and it becomes 3rd and 11.
Just a little mishandling of the snap there. Much never really had it secured. Had the presence of mind to get the ball and get down on it. Took him just a second to find it, but once he did, he just dropped on it. Took the loss, making it now 3rd down and 11.
This time Willis lines up wide to the near side, and Lundquist out wide to the far side, again out of the eye. And Much now will give to Mosley off the left side, and he gets about 3 yards, and that's going to be it. And the Eagles go 3 and out, and on comes the punting unit.
Tough situation for Kennedy facing the 3rd and long, predominantly a running team. The first 2 plays kind of put them into a situation where it's tough for them to find a play that get 11 yards because they predominantly like to run the ball, like to set up the 3rd and short. They didn't have it, decided to just run the ball in that circumstance and not force it.
And doing the punting this year for Kennedy is Andy Much, brother of Lance Much, sophomore. And he's got about the same height as Lance as well. Back to receive the kick will be Lee for Jefferson. Snap is a little low, and the kick is away, and it's a really good kick as Lee watches it hit at the 30, and he lets it go at the 20-yard line, and that's where it dies, and that's where the Eagles will take it 1st and 10.
About a 50-yard punt. A lot of that in the air as Lloyd Lee made the fine decision not to touch the ball. Standing punt, punting with the wind, obviously. Getting a little bit extra distance, but still, nonetheless, great kick.
Jefferson offense, the wideout will be Matt Gibbs and Steve Stokel, Paul Kane, Jan Illis, Aaron Swartout, and John Anderson from tackle to tackle. Dave Watson, the tight end, and of course the backfield, Tack, Bolden, Lee, and Kiffin, the quarterback. Jaguars come out on a 1st and 10 now as Gibbs lines up in the slot to the far side. They're out of the eye. Kiffin under center. And Lane takes the snap, pitches to Lee off the right side, Lee the 20 to 25, gets out to the 27-yard line before being brought down by Bradley along with Mix on the play. Gain of 7, and it's 2nd and 3.
It's a quick pitch and good blocking on the right side by Swartout and Anderson. Helped escort Mr. Lee on his first carry through the line. Good 1st down play, 7 yards. You see the huge hole in the tackle made by David Robertson.
Gibbs to the near side this time. And again out of the eye. And it will be Lee this time. And he gets away from one tackle. Lee to the 25. Lee across the 30 out to the 32-yard line. That'll be good enough for a 1st down. And getting off the bottom of the Kennedy pile is Mix, along with Hollenbeck. But Josh Mix was there first to make the tackle. Josh Mix suddenly become a very hotly recruited prospect in Division I, at least in the Midwest. He's been contacted by every Big Ten school, along with some schools outside the conference, such as Nebraska, such as Oklahoma. Kid's getting some ink. 1st and 10, and it'll be Lee this time off the left side. Lee to the 30, Lee to the 35. Still on his feet as he crosses the 40 to the 41-yard line. Nice running there by Lloyd Lee. Picks up 9 yards. Call it 8 yards, and it's 2nd and 2.
You see Lloyd Lee give him 8 on that one. 2nd and 2, had a fine game last week, getting 2 short touchdown runs, 57 yards. He's a good threat, catching the ball out of the backfield and running as they're trying to pound Kennedy right now with their big offensive line. They've netted 20 yards in 3 running plays, and just short of another 1st down.
Jefferson, of course, in their visiting white. They're technically the road team tonight. 2nd and 2, and again it's Gibbs to the near side and off to Lee. Lee to the 40, Lee to the 45, across midfield and bumped out of bounds at about the 48-yard line.
Lee carrying Dwyer, making the tackle.
Lloyd Lee picking up 10 yards again off the right side. Lee quickly with 30 yards on 4 carries. And he gives the Jaguars their 2nd 1st down of the evening.
Once again, fine blocking, this time going to the left side behind Kane and Stokel. And a good move to shake David Robertson as Lloyd Lee crosses the midfield stripe for, call it an 11-yard gain and another 1st down.
Same setup out of the eye. Gibbs to the near side, and this will be Lee again. And Lee hits the 45, Lee to the 40-yard line, cuts it back inside to the 38-yard line. Very close to a first down. I believe he has it from where they're spotting it. And Lee is getting about 7 to 10 yards of crack here. And that's all they've gone with so far, and they have no reason to deviate from it.
They don't. He's getting at least the first 4 or 5 yards for free as he's getting good blocking up front on the left and the right side. Going to the left once again as you see the handoff. Paul Kane, the good block on number 55, Rob Hollenbeck, and that helped to score Mr. Lee for another few more yards. And also in the open field, Lee's picking his way well once he gets the blocking.
7:46 to go here in the opening quarter. We are scoreless, but the Jaguars are on the move on their first drive of the game. They've picked up 3 first downs so far and have moved the ball over 40 yards. And they're at the Eagle 38-yard line now. It is now 1st and 10, and this will be Tack up the middle. And Tack gets about a yard as he is stacked off the left side. Mix in on the tackle along with Bradley as well. And it becomes 2nd and 10.
Initial hit by Kevin Hartman with help from Bradley and Mix. As they stop Ryan Tack, his strength running through the tackles. At times stuffed well by Kennedy's defense, forcing 2nd down. They give him no gain on that.
And it becomes 2nd and 10 now. And this will be Lee off the left side. Lee to the 35. Lee still on his feet. Inside the 30 down to the 28-yard line as Lloyd Lee gets very close to a first down. Will probably be about a yard shy, though. And it becomes 3rd and maybe 2 yards to go for a first down.
Fine blocking by Ryan Tack. He doesn't get much in way of running. They'll use him to get the tough yards, but he's a fine blocker out of the backfield, giving Lloyd Lee good run blocking and a good path up the left side. Lloyd Lee did the rest. Good 2nd down play. Let's call it 3rd and 2 now, just on the 30-yard line.
3rd and 2 now as Gibbs to the near side, and this will be Lee off the left side. Lee has the first down as he is near the 25. Again, a small crack off the left side of that offensive line, and they've been getting a lot of yardage over there. Stokel, Kane, Illies, the 3 of them opening up some yardage for Lee. And he gains 3 yards. That's good for the 4th first down of this drive.
It's the 7th play of the series. They have yet to throw a pass. They haven't had to. They've averaged about 8 yards a carry, all of it with Lloyd Lee, as Ryan Tack once again with a good seal block. Blocking number 33, David Robertson, and cutting inside that block was Lloyd Lee, following his blocking well to net another first down.
And we are coming up on 6 minutes now to go in the first quarter. 1st and 10 from the 26-yard line. Kiffin giving off to Lee again, and Lee this time is slowed after picking up a couple of yards. He's inside the 25, down to the 24-yard line. They'll give him the 25-yard, and now we got a late flag. And let's check this out. They spot the ball at the 24, so initially a 2-yard game, but let's see what happens.
Quite a heated rivalry between both the teams. Sure, we might see some things flare up from time to time. We don't have the call yet, but good defensive play. Rob Hollenbeck helped to slow that play down. It was a good block by Steve Stokel, but he spoiled the play, stopping for just a short gain of 2. And I guess there was no infraction. That last play, let's call it 2nd and 8 from about the 26.
No flag on the play. 2nd and 9.
Pick up the flag. Ball spotted inside the 25-yard line. Called 2nd and a long 8, if you will. Lee now has 8 carries for 53 yards. And again, they line up out of the eye. Same set now. Gibbs in motion to the far side. And the toss to Lee off the left side. Lee to the 25, Lee to the 20. Still on his feet as he's down to the 15-yard line before being brought down on the right side of that Kennedy defense.
Lloyd Lee
getting over there to make the hit.
The 20-yard line.
Rob Hollenbeck over there along with some help from Joe Brown as well. And it becomes 3rd and, let's see here.
And the quick pitch once again running to the motion side. Good run blocking there. And they exploited once again the left side with the good blocking from Stokel and Kane. Netting yet another first down, number 5 on the drive as it continues. And Lee with all the plays going to him so far except for one. He has 66 yards and 9 carries.
First down from the 17-yard line. Out of the eye again, the same formation. This will be Lee off the right side, and he is hit by Mix at the 16. Gets maybe to the 15. That would be about it. But the Mix ended that run very quickly. Give him a yard on the play. It becomes 2nd and 9.
Linebackers are the key to Kennedy's defense. Fine run support there by Josh Mix, named by the revered Lemming scouting report as one of the top prospects out of the Midwest, and you can see why he's really developed to one of the finest linebackers around the metro area, making good play there to force 2nd and 9 from about the 15.
Let's see if we see our first pass of the game. They're out of the eye again. Nope, they'll toss it to Lee. Lee to the 15, Lee to the 10, Lee to the 5, and he is shoved out of bounds. He is very close. Well, he will have a first down as they call it at about the 4-yard line, and it'll be goal to goal.
6 first downs, and Mr. Lloyd Lee has had a big hand in all of them because he's carried the ball in all those cases. It's the 11th carry you see on the left side again. They're running to that side. That's their predominant side so far. They run to the right just a couple occasions. Lloyd Lee now is over 70 yards on 11 carries as they're really using good time management here. Had the ball almost 8 minutes as the clock is inside 4.5 minutes in the first quarter.
We'll spot the ball at the 5. It's goal to goal, and this will be a flag.
Yes.
We're going to get a late start, probably, or early start rather, on Jefferson.
Yeah, the whole right side moved before the snap, coming a little late. Either they anticipated a different count or the center was a little late, but either way, it's going to be a 5-yarder.
First penalty of the game goes against the Jaguars.
Illegal procedure against Jefferson, 5 yards.
Let's see what this does to Jefferson's play calling. They've yet to even look to pass.
No, they certainly haven't had a reason to yet, though the shortest gain for Jefferson so far has been 3 yards. And they really have been, especially Lee has really found the cracks in that Kennedy defense. Spot the ball at the 10, 1st and goal, and again a flag. And this one may be on Kennedy as they were really across that line in a hurry. But let's see, though.
Let's see if they were drawn off or they, in fact, encroached. No, it's false start once again. Now this might kind of dictate the way Jefferson might call these next 2 plays, because they have been running the ball throughout this first series, but they might, if they want to try for the touchdown and the next 2 downs, they might be forced to try one pass, even though they've had a lot of success on the ground. They might even want to try a little play action. See, once again, rising up as a center. That's twice in a row where the center snap has not been intact with the rest of the line.
From the 15 now it's 1st and goal. And again, it will the Lee toss to the left side, and he will go absolutely nowhere. Shooting the gap on the right side was number 52. That's Joe Brown. Brown, the right outside linebacker, shot the gap and buried Lee for a 5, making a 4-yard loss. And now it becomes 2nd and goal from almost the 20.
They finally had an answer to stopping Lloyd Lee getting some penetration from that right side linebacking unit into the left side of the offensive line. There's Joe Brown, the fine. He's playing outside linebacker tonight. Goes at number 52 tonight, 6'4", 200 pounds.
First down, here's Kiffin's first pass of the game. Steps inside a Hollenbeck. Now Kiffin fires. It's caught by Watson to the 5, and he is nearly in. He is going to be down at the, what are they going to call it here, the 1-yard line? Man, he's about as close as they get.
But nonetheless, a good 2nd down play is the play action I thought might come in one of the next 2 plays. And isolated in the right sideline, near the right sideline, was Dave Watson, Corey Mick making the tackle, but not until he neared the goal line, making it now. Should be a 3rd down. The scoreboard says 2nd down. I do believe it's 3rd.
3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. That pass good for 18 yards from Kiffin to Watson. Unbalanced line, strong to the right side this time. And this will be Kiffin on a bootleg, and he is not going to get anywhere. And he is still on his feet, but that only cost him 5 more yards as he tried getting out of the tackle. The initial hit came from Bradley, but then Hollenbeck came along and Brown finished him off. That'll make it 4th down from the 9-yard line, and here comes Jeff Giovinazzo for the field goal attempt.
Well, a fine finish to what was a good drive for Kennedy's defense, coming to the task when they had to. When the Jefferson offense was approaching the goal line, Good penetration by Ted Bradley to slow the play down, and then good support to finish it off.
Giovinazzo, the snap, the place, he gets it on the way. It's right down the middle. And Jefferson finishes off a 16-play drive that originated from the 20-yard line. Chewed up about 8 minutes on the clock. And with 2:24 to go in the first quarter, the Jaguars draw first blood, leading 3-0 on a 19-yard field goal.
Giovinazzo now 2 of 3 of field goals. It was a fine drive. They would have liked to have scored a touchdown, but Kennedy was having none of that on the end of the drive as they stood their ground well. And let's see if that'll spark their offense. And they'll be getting the ball their first series. I wonder how much energy will be expended if Jefferson's continuing to run these kinds of series. Though Jefferson really stringing out a great series, the first one of the game, which they amassed, I have them for 15 plays in that first drive. It's a long time for defense to be on the field.
Certainly is, and much of those yardage came off the left side with Stokel and Kane and Illies and Watson doing some blocking there as well and clearing up the right side of that Kennedy defense. Brown, Hartman, Mix, Dwyer, and Miller on the right side. Wasn't able to contain Lee much of the time until he was 5 yards downfield. Well, here we go again as Giovinazzo kicks it away. And this will be Mosley again, this time from the 8-yard line. Mosley to the 20. Mosley still on his feet as he reaches the 25-yard line. He is finally brought down to the 27-yard line. Finished off there by number 39 for the Jaguars.
It's Chad Erickson. Special teams also a little help from Kirk Hansen. See the wedge forming right there. Finished off by Chad Erickson. Once again, just inside the 30-yard line, about the 27 is where Kennedy will start.
Eagles start their second drive, this time from the 27-yard line. As they line up out of the eye, Lundquist to the near side, and Much again fumbles the snap.
Fumble on the play.
And
Kennedy recovers.
But he was fortunate enough to get it back again. And the Kennedy offense, running 4 plays so far, has gained nothing. And they already fumbled the ball twice.
As it'll make it tough on them. They like to get the shorter yardage situations on the second and third downs, but doing things like that on the fumble there will hinder their hopes as they're having a hard time advancing the ball. They're not even getting the snaps cleanly, and so far only have 2 yards in that offense and only 4 plays.
Pat Rezap in the game now to the near side, and Much now will keep off the right side. Much now to the 30 to 35-yard line, and he is very near a first down out to about the 37-yard line. I think they're going to spot at the 36, though, and that will leave him about a yard short with third down coming up.
Much showing what he can do when he gets out of the pocket. He's a good runner. Had a 15-yard touchdown last week against Eden Prairie. Late in the game, they gave him a chance to win the game. And showing what he can do there to make it a 3rd and short. You see Lance Much, the tall, lanky quarterback. He's come a long way in his last 2 years. And now is the full-time starter for the Kennedy Eagles as they measure. I think it'll be a little short, forcing a 3rd and short, but they stretch the chains to make sure.
Yeah, he looks like he's a couple of links short. Bringing up third down.
Third down and less than 1.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, this is Kennedy's first home game of the season. And coming off pretty respectable 2-1 road record. 2 of the 3 road opponents certainly quality teams.
That's for sure. 3rd
and short now as they shift and go to the eye. This will be Mosley off the right side off the 40 out to the 42-yard line. And he was one man, or he'd still be going.
And that one man was Lloyd Lee, who's also showing that he can play on the other side of the ball, show what he did on offense, and showing what he can do on defense, making the stop there. See number 22 coming through the line quickly, Cass Mosley, his 2nd carry. And the stop there by Lee, stopping an even bigger gain or maybe a touchdown.
Spot the ball at the 42-yard line, 1st and 10, under a minute to go here in the first quarter. This will be Shannon Leonard up the middle, and Leonard gets about a yard at the most before being driven back by the middle part of the Jefferson defense. Cicchini was there, and Bo Johnston was there, Stump, Watson, you name it. Gain of well, we'll give him 2 yards, make it 2nd and 8.
There's Shannon Leonard, the big, stocky fullback. Gets a tough yards up the middle. Had a big touchdown against Chaska a couple weeks ago.
239. Didn't know he had dropped weight. Just thought he was a 250-pounder. 2nd and 8 now. Last play of the first quarter. This will be Much on the left side. And Lance is wrapped up and flung into the turf as he is gang tackled by literally 6 Jefferson defenders.
Led by Hawk Tia at the linebacker position.
Mike Wagner as well, and that will bring us to the end of the first quarter as you get a shot of the Kennedy crowd here tonight. Pretty good crowd on hand, pretty cold outside, but the stands are full on both sides of the field, and that brings us to the end of the first quarter of play. So the Battle of Bloomington is 1/4 of the way through for 1993. We switch ends and go to the second. It's Jefferson 3, Kennedy 0, and you're watching Bloomington football on BEC.
This is David.
Oh, hi.
This is what David's done. David went to college. Sorry, Annapolis. David taught himself to play piano, the sax, even the bagpipes. Well, maybe not the bagpipes. David was NBA Rookie of the Year. He's also been to the Olympics twice. David even became a naval officer. David's sure done a lot. But you know one thing David's never done?
Drugs.
David doesn't do drugs. Maybe that's why he's done so much.
Make it 4th down now, and the punting unit on.
Good pressure by Matt Stump as he tried to deliver it to the receiver. Eric Lindquist running a little square out pattern to the right sideline, just a little bit eluding his hands, fortunately, as Kennedy trying to get over the 50-yard line for the first time tonight in their second drive. See Lance Much rolling out with pressure from Stump while just going off Lundquist's hands, forcing now a 4th down and about 7, and the second punt of the evening for Kennedy.
Much again, the kick this time, that's Andy Much, and the kick is nearly blocked, and it is taken by Lee at the 25, Lee to the 30, Lee to the 35, still on his feet, the 40, and knocked out of bounds near the 45-yard line. As the Jaguars nearly block the kick and still get good yards on the return, they pick up about 20 yards, and they'll start at 1st and 10 from their own 44.
Yeah, with the good pressure from the special teams, the kick not nearly as good as the first one. The short, low kick. Lloyd Lee able to get the sideline, get a good return on it to give Jefferson good field position once again. Now it'll be interesting to see how the offense is run with the win this time. But Jefferson, I'm sure, will still utilize what they did in their first drive. A lot of running, and might offset it with the pass once in a while.
Spot the ball at the 40, 1st and 10 as they line up out of the eye. Gibbs to the near side. Kiffin is audibleizing now. Kennedy in a 5-man front, and it will be Lee off the right side, spins away to the 45 and is dropped there, and coming over to finish the hit off for Kennedy, number 33, that would be David Robertson making the hit, and it's 2nd and 5.
There's Lloyd Lee getting away from the first tackle attempted by number 51 Kirk Hansen in the nose guard position. Couldn't be made there as Lloyd Lee spun away to net 78 yards now on 13 carries.
2nd and 5 now. Again, the same formation, and it will be Lee again off the right side, and he gets up near the 50-yard line to about the 49. They may even give him just the 48-yard line. Picks up 3, and it'll become 3rd and short. Give him 2 yards to go for the first.
This drive so far, Jefferson running to their right. Good seal block by Steve Stokel, helping to make that play possible. Kennedy, though, doing a good job to hold that to about a 3-yard gain, forcing in 3rd down and 2 about the 48.
Again, the same formation, and this will be Lee off the left side, and he is going to be dropped short of the 1st down. Nice recovery by the Kennedy defense. Hollenbeck and Mix, along with some help from Brown as well, and it becomes 4th down.
Joe Brown helped to slow down that play with good penetration. Ryan Tacknott able to get off the block needed for Lloyd Lee to get the first down, and that was the start of more Kennedy Eagles being able to get into the backfield and stop that play.
Kenyatta Bolden will be doing the punting again tonight for Jefferson, and back to receive it. Mosley on the right. The kick is away, and it's off the side of the foot, but it gets a Jefferson bounce and goes out of bounds. And Kennedy will start there where they started their last drive from their own 27-yard line.
Now Kennedy getting the ball again. Hopefully they can start off this drive, not fumbling the snap away and having to recover it and forcing themselves into 2nd and long, something they don't want to face, not being a passing team. Need to get more yards on first down and not go backward.
Jefferson so far leading in the first down department 6-1 as Willis is to the near side. Lundquist to the far side out of the eye. This will be Leonard up the middle, and he is dropped after a short gain. He gets across the 30 to about the 31-yard line for a gain of 4. It's 2nd and 6.
Just try to loosen up the defense a little bit, try to establish something. Up the middle, it's Leonard's strong point. Give him 4 yards on his second carry.
Clock on the move. We're coming up on 9 minutes to go here in the half. Jaguars by 3. Kennedy comes out in a strong right this time. And this will be Mosley up the middle across the 35, still on his feet across the 40 and drop it about the 42-yard line. And Mosley, the star tailback for Mike McKay's squad, picks up 10 yards, make it 11 yards, and another Kennedy first down.
Those little handoffs to Leonard, what they do, they get them keying on him off tackle, and then when they're looking on that, they fake to Leonard and give the ball to Cass Mosley. Second back through. Jefferson not expecting it, and it was a big 11-yard gain and the second first down for Kennedy.
From the 42-yard line, it's 1st and 10. They come out on a strong left this time. And Much takes a snap. It's off to Mosley. Mosley to the 45. Gets out near the 50-yard line. He's just short of it. He's dropping about the 48, 49-yard line. Stokel on the tackle along with Watson, but Mosley picks up about 6 yards. And it's 2nd and a long, 3 to go.
Good blocking up front, giving Mosley good room to get through that offensive line, that first wave of would-be tacklers, and pick up a good 6-yard gain call and make it 2nd and 4. Mosley now with 25 yards.
Willis left and Lundquist right, and it's Leonard up the middle. Shannon has the first down and more. The 45, and he is dropped at the 43-yard line. Shannon Leonard peels off an 8-yard gain, and it's another Kennedy first down.
Shannon Leonard showing how he can wreak havoc on all defenses he faces as he gets away from a tackle of Stokel to gain some yards, and they had a tough time bringing him down. Looked like he might get a few more yards, and it took 2 tacklers to bring him down on that play.
3 carries for 14 yards for the 239-pound fullback so far. 1st and 10. This will be Mosley off the right side. He reaches about the 41-yard line. Short gain off the right side. And in on the tackle for Jefferson was, and we'll see who gets off the bottom of the pile here. That would be Adam Heisman. Heisman along with some help from Wagner as well, and it becomes 2nd and 7. Mosley now 5 carries for 28 yards, 2nd and 7. Strong right this time. Willis in the wings, and a flag and a delay of game, and that'll cost him 5 yards.
Just when things are going well, then an infraction like that can help to set a team back, see how they can overcome it. They hadn't had any mistakes on this drive. That's the first one. See how they bounce back on what'll be 2nd down and 12 as Lance Much gets some instructions from Coach McKay on the sideline. They've had some trouble with keeping on cue with their center snap. They've had 2 fumbles in the first 2 drives. They've recovered both of them, but they've had some trouble with keeping their line continuity together.
Willis to the near side, Lundquist to the far side. It is now 2nd and 12. Much is back for his 3rd pass attempt. They want the screen. They shoot it out to Mosley. Mosley 50. Mosley still on his feet. 45. There's a flag in the plays. He reaches the 40-yard line. And I believe this one's going to come back. And the play looked for a moment like it was really going to develop into something, but looks like this one's going to really push him back a little bit further.
Yes, unfortunately, I believe there was a hold possibly on Kevin Hartman trying to block out front. So we see the screenplay developing to Cass Mosley, but it will be all for naught.
Ooh, a clip.
Oh, they call it a clip. That's a big one.
That's a biggie.
2-on-2 plays just when they were driving near the 40. Now push them back over to their side of the 50.
And that one's going to cost them 15. And if I'm not mistaken, it's from the spot of the foul. And that'll push them all the way back now to their own 39-yard line. And they got second and a bunch.
A lot of real estate near 30 on second down to go, and definitely change their thinking. They won't want to force anything, but you see Cass Mosley there, the receiver on the last pass, but the penalty nullifies that.
Second and 27 to be exact, as much will give to Willis on the counter. And Willis gets across the 40 out to the 43-yard line. Gets about 4. That's his first carry of the night. And it leaves third and very long to go.
Kennedy trying to get some of that yardage back with a safe play, a little misdirection. Jefferson playing it pretty well. Still well over 20 yards to go on third down. They can just sit back and play it pretty safe.
And they come on a strong right this time. Lundquist and Willis to the near side. Give us to Leonard up the middle. And he gets about 4 yards out to the 47-yard line. And that'll bring the punting unit on.
Well, 2 penalties in successive plays pretty much killed what was the best drive for Kennedy as we approach the 5-minute mark of the second quarter. Fortunately, those penalties were big ones, not just the false start, but the clipping one following that. After a screen play, push them all the way back to their 39. And once again, after a pretty good drive this time, though, but they get no points out of it and will be punting for the 3rd time tonight.
Lee will be back to receive the punt again from Munch. Let's see if the Jaguars bring 9 guys and they hold it up a little bit. Good kick by Munch. Lee will field it and falls out of bounds at the 17-yard line. And the Jaguars will start their 4th drive of the game from their own, what do they call it, 17-yard line?
About the 17
Sure.
where he went out. Good kick pinning Lee to the sidelines. Lee trying to field the ball and stay in the field of play to go up the sideline as he did last time, but his momentum carried him out as he was almost out of bounds when he caught the ball, making it impossible for him to turn upfield. Therefore, that's where they'll start marking about at, the 17's where they'll mark it.
5:21 to go here in the half. Jaguars' 3rd drive of the game. The give is off to Lee. Lee to the 20. Lee out to the 22-yard line. Stretches out to pick up a 5-yard gain on the play, and it becomes 2nd and 5.
Tackle made by number 20, Corey Mick, but not until first down play netted 5 yards. Lee really piling up the carries and the yardage, and with 86 on 16 tries. So once again, running out of the set, you see good blocking up front once again, and the good first down carry.
2nd and 5. Bolden out wide to the near side. Gibbs from the slot to the far side. Lee is in motion and a flag on the play. Probably a procedure penalty here against Jefferson. That should cost them 5 yards and make it 2nd and 10.
That'll be the 3rd penalty of that nature they've received. Both teams have a little trouble with keeping the procedure intact. They were just running an off-tackle play. Shouldn't have problems with that on that type of a play, but they did nonetheless, pushing them back to where they started at the 17, and it'll be a 2nd and 10.
Coming up at halftime, of course, we'll get our first look at the Kennedy Band this year. And, of course, following that, we'll have our halftime numbers. Darryl will give us the rundown on that. Very quickly played first half so far. 4:28 to go in the second quarter. 2nd and 10 from the 17-yard line. Lee is in motion. Kiffin rolls to the near side. Pitch not to Lee. Lee's running out of room, and he is driven out of bounds at the 15-yard line. There's a flag in the play as well. And we'll see where they spot that one. Thrown in the direction of what would be a holding call normally, but let's double check it.
Kirk Hansen, good play to contain the quarterback. There's not much option for Kiffin on the option, as it was well covered there. You see number 57, or number 37 rather, Josh Mix making the tackle. It's strung out really well by Kennedy's defense, reacting really well to the ball. Also helping out his number 52, Joe Brown, the right outside linebackers had a fine first half, not letting the play get outside. It does look like it's going to be on Jefferson once again. Is it a holding infraction? Trying to spring the run outside? Or another motion penalty?
No, it's another motion penalty, another 5-yarder. 4 for 20 yards, and this game quickly turning into a penalty fest.
Last week, Jefferson only had 3. So they've added 1 to what they had last week. Coach Shea, I'm sure, want to quell that. It's not the way you want to keep your offense on the field.
3 receivers set on 3rd down. Kiffin pumps. Kiffin fires long down the near side. And then no grab by Lee as he dropped the ball at the 40-yard line. I was going to say, what a grab by Lloyd Lee, but he lost it on the way down. And it becomes 3rd down and 17 to go.
Good play, just trying to get Lloyd Lee, one of the top receivers in the Lake Conference, out one-on-one with a linebacker. Pass thrown pretty well. Lee almost came up with a miraculous catch. Once again, you see the pump fake holding in a linebacker, which ended up freeing up Lloyd Lee to go against the free safety Joe Dwyer. The pass just falling awry. Now it's a 3rd down and 17.
Gibbs left, Watson right on 3rd and long, and Kiffin is back. Here comes the blitz. He unloads the screen out to Lee. Lee to the 15, Lee to the 20, and Lee is dropped near the 25-yard line. He's going to be about 3 yards short, but nice gain on 3rd down, though.
That's Lee's first reception, a fine play to slow down the pressure of a blitz. A good middle screen, good yardage in the middle. You see Kiffin lets the pressure come to him, then he dumps it off to Lloyd Lee. He's probably 1 block away from getting that first down. Good yardage on 3rd down, though, but it is 4th down and short.
Gain of 14 on the play. Kiffin now 3 passes, 3 attempts for 32 yards. Mosley back to receive the kick from Bolden, and a fair catch now is being taken by, and a fumble, and it's going to be recovered by, I think Kennedy got it back, though. And mishandling the punt. Larry Miller was on the left side. He called for the fair catch, lost the ball, and in the process picked up about 5 yards. Miller, of course, almost gave Kennedy their miraculous comeback last week, returning a punt late in the game for 39 yards, but not to no avail.
He is the finest punt return they've had for years. Fortunately, they mishandled the ball. It was the 3rd fumble by Kennedy, but fortunate for them, they recovered all 3 and have the best field position they've had all night, starting field position at the 45 of Jefferson.
With 3:22 to go in the half, this could be pretty pivotal here. Strong right. Much is back. He wants to pass, sets it, fires, and it is caught at the, well, let's see, they're going to give him the catch? Yes, they are. Mosley makes the grab at the 40-yard line. Short gain of 5 as he does a little square out, and it becomes 2nd and 5.
Pressure supplied by number 45, Bo Johnson. With good blocking by the backfield of Kennedy to give Much the time he needed to get that ball to Mosley, who dropped the ball after coming in contact with the turf, thus getting a 5-yard gain.
Lundquist wide to the left side this time. Strong left, and this will be Leonard up the middle. And he bowls his way to the 38-yard line, make it the 37-yard line. Gain of 3 on the play, and it becomes 3rd and 2.
This is the way Kennedy likes to operate, getting the good first down yards, and then on 2nd down, they can kind of loosen things up the middle with Shannon Leonard and then have their options vary for 3rd down. They face tough situations when they have first and second and long, but this is the way they've been able to be successful. These are the kind of drives that get them back into the ball game. As Coach McKay comes out during this timeout, nearly 2 minutes left in the first half, and Kennedy mounting their first threat, well, their second threat, but their first maybe real threat inside the 40 tonight.
Kennedy has kind of a shutout string, unfortunately, going against the Jaguars. They were shut out last year, and they have yet to get on the board here tonight with, you see, 2:25 to go in the half. And obviously they would like to get on the board here before the half, particularly since Jefferson kicked off to start the game. So this is kind of a pivotal drive here.
Yes, it is. And they've played real well against Jefferson. Good defense to stop what looked to be a touchdown drive to open the game. And since then, they've held Jefferson in check, even though they've mounted some pretty good rallies with their series of downs. Good yardage on the ground, but a little bending by Kennedy's defense. But they've stood firm when they've had to and have kept their team in position to get the lead or at least tie going into halftime.
3rd and 2 as they come out on a strong right this time. Lundquist to the near side again out of the eye, and this will be Leonard up the middle. No, make that much on the keeper, and he probably should have given it to Leonard because he gets no gain off the right side. And it becomes 4th down, and let's see what Mike McKay decides to do here. Looks like he's going to go for it.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Tackle was made by Finley along with some help from the left side. Cicchini, Stump. 4th and 2 of the clock in the move. We have 2 minutes to go.
And much faking the belly play up the middle, and Cicchini not fooled, stopping that play, forcing the 4th and short.
Coming into the strong right this time. Much under center. Give to Mosley. Cass wheels to the outside. Mosley to the 35. Has the first down as he's down to the 30-yard line. Nice move there by Cass Mosley. He couldn't find the hole off the left side. Wheel around to the outside and gives the Eagles their 3rd first down of the game.
And a big one it was, as there was nothing in the inside. Good vision and good presence of mind to get outside. Mosley saw that there was nothing inside and went outside and got the yardage he needed. Mosley now with 35 yards on 6 carries. Had some big carries in the last 2 drives. It's a real big one as we're inside 2 minutes. Kennedy trying to get the first points of the evening.
And the Eagles call their 2nd timeout here in the first half. We have 1:41 to go in the 2nd quarter of play. And a full house tonight. Both sides are full. Of course, this game always becomes a pretty intense matchup, and regardless of what the records are of these two teams, it's always a real good matchup.
Yeah, teams are really keyed to play each other. This is the game they look forward to, maybe more than any other. The bragging rights, the students from both schools see each other on an occasional basis and sure build quite a rivalry. Fierce competitors on both sides, and those bragging rights are very important.
Throwing, of course, to the mix that this is Kennedy's first home game of the year. And the Eagles are off to their best start in a number of seasons, so that heightens the matchup even more. 1st and 10 from the Jaguar 32. Lundquist out wide to the near side. Out of the eye, Willis in the wing to the left side. Much on a play-action pass. Lance has got time. Fires long down the near side for Lundquist. Oh, and it's broken up at the last minute by Grimes making the break up. And Lundquist has a couple of words for the official on his way back to the huddle. Wouldn't be long in the line of, gee, he pushed me before I caught it, would it?
Well, Lance Much getting good protection to get the ball off on a deep pattern toward the post. A good recovery there by Brand Grimes helped to break up that pass. Looked to be pretty good timing on Grimes' part. I didn't see any infraction there, but it's good play on both ends. And that forces now 2nd and 10.
1:34 to go in the half. Now they go out in a strong left this time. And the counter to Willis. Turns it inside, and he fumbles the ball, and it's recovered by the Jaguars.
Well, the 4th fumble,
and
unfortunately, wasn't recovered by Kennedy.
And yeah, you cough it up enough and you're going to lose them sooner or later. That is the 4th fumble. It's hard to believe in this half. That's true. And this one cost him.
And Willis is still down after that hit. You see on the replay they tried a little misdirection play. Good defensive stand by Jefferson, forcing the fumble. Steve Stokel making the recovery. There's Steve Willis, senior wingback. That was his 2nd carry of the evening. Hopefully he'll be able to stay in the game as Coach McKay out the trainer to make sure he's okay.
Games coming up next week for both of these schools. The Jaguars, assuming they win tonight, and if Eden Prairie wins their game tonight with Burnsville, which is basically the spotlight game of the night in the metro area, would be setting up a huge matchup here at the stadium next Friday. Kennedy, if they were to win this game, they go to Egan next week with a 3-1 record for their final road game of the regular season. So a lot of intangibles into this game, but
yes, there
Kennedy,
are.
of course, looking for revenge last year after their heartbreaking loss in this field to the Wildcats. And the Jaguars now will start it from their own 31 with 1:27 to go here in the half. Tack the lone back, balance set. Kiffin back to pass, has time, fires, and it is caught by Lee at the 40. Lee is very close to a first down. Brought down on the far side. Let's double check that figure.
Joe Dwyer making the tackle.
And number 28, Joe Dwyer, making the tackle on the pattern by Lee coming out of the backfield. He does so well.
2nd and 1, and Kiffin fires, and it is overshot, intended out on the near side by Gibbs, and it becomes 3rd and 1.
With a free play on the 2nd and short, they throw to Gibbs once in a while. They just tried him out in the flat. A little bit high, forcing the 3rd down, but just 1 yard to go inside a minute. As Jefferson trying to run out the clock here in the 2nd quarter, going to halftime, keeping the lead.
56 seconds to go here in the first half. Wind now has picked up again a little bit. Jaguars are going into the wind. Kiffin so far 3 out of 4 for 41 yards. Make that 3 out of 5 for 41 yards. 3rd and 1. Gibbs to the near side. Watson out wide to the far side. Kiffin will has the first down across the 45 to the 47-yard line. That'll stop the clock with 51 seconds to go while they reset the chains and give the Jaguars their first down in this quarter.
Yes, they've been held really well with Kennedy's defense after those first 2 drives, especially that first drive. They've toughened very well, and first downs are pretty even now. It's 7-4, and Kennedy's defense has given them a chance to stay in this game as the offense has sputtered for a good part of this first half.
Jaguars now have 2 timeouts remaining in the first half. And of course, as we mentioned before, coming up at halftime, we'll have the Kennedy High School band for the first time this season. And it looks like they've dressed up in their Western theme for tonight. Fully attired in their I don't want to say scarves. The handkerchiefs, rather, and all the attire that goes along with that. And the Jaguars now will reset up now from the 46-yard line on a 1st and 10. 51 seconds to go in the half. Lee is in motion. Kiffin on a play action. Now we'll shoot the screen to Lee. Lee to the 40. Lee turns it inside to the 45. Lee to the 46-yard line. And basically getting back to where he was at originally. A gain of maybe 1 on the play, and that'll be enough to call their 2nd timeout as the Jaguars stop the clock with 34 seconds to go in the half.
Good reaction by Josh Mix, showing his good abilities, as we see on the replay. They threw to the side that they faked to, and it was a good, well-advised play. Set up really well, but Josh Mix getting out there to slow the play down, forcing Lee back inside where he could be stopped by 4 Kennedy defensive players. It's the 3rd reception for Lee, 22 yards. He has combined yardage of over 100 yards. Has been held pretty well in check since the first quarter. And that's why this game is where it is now at 3-0.
Coming up at the halftime as well, we should mention the drawing tonight for the winners will be taking a 5-day Caribbean cruise as part of the raffle ticket and fundraising drive for the 9th grade athletic program. And of course, both Kennedy and, well, the Bloomington School District certainly appreciates all the monetary support from all the folks this year as well. 39 seconds to go in the half. Watson left. Gibbs right. Kiffin is back. Here comes the blitz. He unloads long down the far side, and it is incomplete. That was Lee out there, and he was matched up out there one-on-one against Robertson. And it becomes 3rd and 9 now with 33 seconds to go.
Long flare route down the right sideline, well covered by David Robinson, drawing the assignment. Covering Lloyd Lee, one of the top receivers in the Lake Conference, already having 3 on the evening. And the pass just going awry, which is for the best. It was pretty well covered. 3rd down, call it 9 with 33 seconds left.
Watson now wide to the far side. Lee to the near side. Tack the lone back. Kiffin is back. Here comes the rush. He fires again, and it is caught by Watson out of bounds at the 41-yard line. That's a Jefferson 1st down and stops the clock with 27 seconds to go.
Good sideline patterned run by Watson. Good delivery by Lane Kiffin as he had good protection. They picked up the blitz really well. Linebacker tried to cover. Joe Brown couldn't stay with Dave Watson. Just adds to his leading total in Lake Red receiving. It's his 2nd on the evening, about 17 yards on that, 2 for 35 and another 1st down.
From the 41-yard line, Kiffin is back. Here comes the blitz. He unloads, and it is caught on the near side by Lee. Out of bounds at the 29-yard line. It's another Jaguar 1st down. Gain of 12 on the play. Stops the clock with 21 seconds to go in the half.
Lloyd Lee running a crossing route, going to the outside. Good protection once again. Picking up the blitz, and Lee with the presence of mind to get out of bounds. Stop the clock and give Kennedy another chance to get the ball at least in field goal range as we end the near the end of the first half.
Lee with 4 receptions for 36 yards. From the Eagle 29-yard line, Kiffin under center. Kiffin is back. Here comes the rush. Steps up inside. Fires towards the corner to Lee. He's got it. Touchdown.
Kiffin's pass is complete to Lee for the Jefferson touchdown.
Kiffin to Lee for 29 yards, and the Jaguars strike again with 14 seconds to go in the first half. And Jeff Giovinazzo now will be on for the point after. And don't forget, folks, that drive was done going into the wind. As Giovinazzo converts the PAT, Jaguars up 10-0.
See Lane Kiffin receiving good protection, stepping inside the rush. David Robinson once again drawing the assignment on Lloyd Lee. This time Lloyd Lee adjusted to the ball well, getting the reception and his first touchdown of the evening, and he has 5 receptions on the evening, showing that he can really perform well, not only running the ball, but receiving the ball, as he's trying to catch up to Dave Watson for that reception lead in Lake Red.
And we're seeing something that Mike McKay didn't particularly want to see, and that's Kennedy having to play catch-up, which is something they're not traditionally known for. And the fact that that drive went 69 yards in 7 plays, and it took him about 2 minutes to go that far, is not exactly what they wanted to see.
It has to be very disheartening. It seemed like the half would run out with maybe Jefferson punting the ball or maybe just running the ball and running the clock out, but they were able to get over the over the midfield stripe, and once they were able to do that, they were able to peck away with short passes and then finish it off.
Line drive kick. It is picked up by Mosley at the 10. Mosley now to the 20-yard line where he is dropped. And that's where the Eagles will start their 5th drive of the game from their own 20 with 10 seconds to go in the half.
And kind of lost in all this was just a couple minutes ago, Kennedy had their best drive of the evening, and a fumble by Willis helped make all this possible. It looked like Kennedy might at least get out of the half. No worse than being down by 3, maybe tying or taking the lead. Now they find themselves down by 10 just before halftime.
Yep, the 7 points coming off the turnover. We've only had 1 turnover in the game, and that was it right there. Out of the eye, 1st and 10. Much will keep on the right side. He is brought down by Wagner for no gain, and that brings the first half to an end. So that brings us to the break of the Battle of Bloomington, as the Jaguars score 3 on their opening drive, and they score 7 on their closing drive, and that's where we're at. Jefferson 10, Kennedy nothing. We go to the break. You're watching Bloomington Football on BEC-TV, the station of champions.
Is it ever too soon to save for college? U.S. savings bonds grow almost as fast as kids do. Get U.S. savings bonds for half their face value and double your money when held to maturity. Get U.S. savings bonds for education, where you work or where you bank. They grow almost as fast as kids do.
Take stock in America. U.S. savings bonds.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we stand behind the Kennedy marching band, we must welcome you all to our debut night at Bloomington Stadium. Tonight's show is an excellent primer for our first year competition tomorrow evening at Irondale High School. The band is under the creative and musical direction of Gerald Francie, with staff instructors Howard Christian, spearheading guard equipment and drill design, while John and Christine DeCamp carve out our drumline chops and hit
The competition will be held at the Wood East High School, and we hope to see all the fans there. We now have to make final for the 93-94 Kennedy Collegians.
We're back at Bloomington Stadium just before the third quarter is about to get underway here with our score 10-0. Jefferson getting the only touchdown of the game so far late in the second quarter to vault them into that position. Halftime statistics tell a lot of the story, but not all of it. Let's look at the yardage gained. Jefferson 186-71 for Kennedy. A lot of that coming in the air in that last drive for Jefferson, capped off by the 29-yard pass to Lloyd Lee, and that could be a heartbreaker. We'll see how Kennedy rebounds from that. Only 4 passes attempted, 1 completed by Lance Mutch for Kennedy for 5 yards. They were able to move the ball a little bit better in the second quarter, but unfortunately a fumble by Steve Willis, the wingback, stopped a rally that they were trying to complete inside Jefferson's 40-yard line. And following that, after a few plays, Lloyd Lee got the touchdown. So the turnover led to the touchdown eventually, and that's where we are as the teams get on the field for the third quarter. Kennedy will get the ball back first, hoping to get something going. What's really killed him the first half was fumbling the snap early in the series of downs, forcing him into second and long situations. And since they don't have much of a passing game, it's made it tough because Jefferson has a tough defense. And when you got second and long and face the third and longs after that, it makes it tough.
And it makes it especially tough when you're not known as a catch-up type team, which Kennedy certainly is not. They will certainly have to cut down the mistakes here in the second half as far as the turnovers and the penalties and everything else. They had a good drive going, but again, yeah, with the Willis fumble, that really put the brakes on the whole offense. So Kennedy will be kicking off to start the second half. They trail by 10. And as far as between the two teams, now the Jefferson defense runs its shutout string against Kennedy to 6. And the Eagles will be, as I mentioned, kicking off to start the second half. Kenyatta Bolden will be on the left side. And let's see who that is on the right side there. That'd be Grimes, Brant Grimes on the right side. And Kirk Hansen will be set to kick off for the Eagles as we're ready to start the second half. Hansen gets it in the air. It's a short kick. It'll be Bolden at the 10 up to the 15. And there he goes out of the pack, the 35, the 40, the 45, and went out of bounds near midfield. Boy, he just blew out of that pile like he was shot out of a cannon. And he's out near midfield, and the Jaguars are in business.
Little Kenyatta Bolden, 5'8", 165, doesn't need much room, just a little crack, and he can accelerate. Started off as not a very attractive kickoff return, fumbled on the ground by number 24, Kenyatta Bolden. Ends up about a 50-yard kickoff return, getting closer to 40, 45 yards, but fine start for the third quarter as far as Jefferson is concerned.
46-yard line of the Jaguars. They'll start at 1st and 10. And Lee now comes to the near side. Bounce set. Kiffin under center. Bolden in motion. Kiffin takes the snap, rolls, pitches, not attack, tack to the 50, tack 45, 40, 35, 30, and he's hauled out of bounds inside the Kennedy 30-yard line. And a touchdown saving tackle put out there by Joe Dwyer, but not before tack peels off a 25-yard gain. And we have a flag on the play, and this one's coming back.
Unfortunately, coming back, Tack's best run of the year is he showed good acceleration to the outside. We usually see him run between the tackles, but he ran on the option pitch, and it was a good play, but for not. As you see, Tack plays on both sides of the ball, but mainly in the backfield for Jefferson. But Jefferson's had a few flags that hurt them. They've had twice as many penalties. Now they have 5, as it was a hold probably to spring Tack on the right sideline. Bring it back 10 yards. Looked like a good beginning for Jefferson. Now holds him a little bit.
5th penalty for Jefferson now for a total of 30 yards. And they'll replay the down, 1st down from the 46-yard line. Strong left this time. Kiffin takes the snap. Here comes the rush. He unloads the Bolden, and he's dropped for a loss at about the 43-yard line. Loss in the play of 3 yards. It becomes 2nd and 13.
Good reaction coming from the strong safety position. Corey Mick had the responsibility of the running back coming out on a little screen to the right, to the left rather, his right. And good reaction forcing the loss. See Kiffin getting good backside pressure but delivering the ball, and Corey Mick making the proper read, not letting Bolden even get square to turn up field.
2nd and 13 now, this time from the 43-yard line. Lee to the left, Watson to the right. Kiffin's 3-step drop, fires, caught by Watson at the 49-yard line, and that's where the play ends. And a late flag, probably going to be a face mask or a late hit or something of that nature. But this one's going against Kennedy. No question about it.
So once again, another penalty, this time going against Kennedy. A fine reception by Watson, a good tackle, but will be tacked on some yardage here. Personal foul, something. Oh, kind of like a spearing call, looks like, on that, following the tackle on Watson.
It's a tough call.
Yeah, it's a tough call to make. He's just, being aggressive, trying to help out his teammate. That's one of those borderline calls that sometimes can go the way of the offense, and that's the case there. Tack on an extra 15, giving Jefferson the first down. And that's 2 15-yard penalties that Kennedy has amassed out of their 3.
Ball spotted at the Eagle 36-yard line, just into the second half. Bo Johnston in the game now, as he is to the near side. Give us the Bolden off the right side. And he is knocked out of bounds by Robertson, I believe. That's correct. Robertson knocking him out of bounds. Gain of, what are they going to give him? A couple yards in the play?
2 or 3.
Give him about 2 yards, make it 2nd and 8. Make that not Bo Johnson in the game, but Haktia in the game offensively now for Jefferson. Bolden now with just that's actually his first carry of the night for 2 yards and 2nd and 8. Gibbs to the near side this time as they come out in a strong left setup. Lee in motion to the right. Kiffin off the play action, fires, and it is intended for Bolden, as he had gotten behind Robertson on the far side, but the pass was thrown behind him. It's incomplete, and it's 3rd and substantial yardage, about 9 to go for a first.
They're really picking on David Robertson. The touchdown was thrown his way late in the first half, and they're going against him with running backs, stretching the defense that time. Pass going awry, forcing the 3rd down, but Jefferson really utilizing their running backs in a variety of ways, and that's wreaked a lot of havoc on Kennedy's defense. They're not used to seeing such multifaceted players, I'm sure.
3rd and 9 now. Strong left this time as Kiffin is back. Here comes the blitz, and he gets out of the rush. Kiffin puts it away, the 40, 35, 30, and he is taken out of bounds.
Close to a face mask.
Yeah. About the 30, just inside the 30-yard line. That'll make it 4th down and about 3 to go. Let's see what they decide to do here. They are going into the wind. They'll spot the ball at the 30, so they need 4 for the first down, and looks like they're gonna. Go
for it.
They're gonna go for it. They only need 4.
They have confidence in their offense. They've been able to run the ball pretty successfully. And they're going to give it a try here going against the wind. They don't want to punt. They don't want to try a long field goal here either.
And instead, they'll call a timeout to talk about it. Kiffin now has 3 rushes for the night for a total of 6 yards. And that one got him. That was actually his first rush for positive yardage so far in the evening.
Saw once again how Lane Kiffin, tough to bring down at with his height. He's been a target of many would-be tackler, and a lot of times he shakes out of those tackles. He's able to get away with his size, 6'3", about 185, 190, very elusive. Sometimes quarterbacks that size you wouldn't think of being maybe that mobile, but he moves very well for his size, strong on his feet, tough to bring down, and hasn't been sacked in 2 games. He wasn't sacked here last week against Egan after that Apple Valley game where Apple Valley put incessant pressure on him and sacked him 6 times. The offensive line for Jefferson rather has done a good job to protect Kiffin. And, of course, Kiffin will be able to get out a lot of tackles, too.
Change of personnel now for Jefferson. This is the 6th play of the drive. And it's a 4th and 4 with 9:41 to go in the third. Big play here for the Kennedy defense. Balance set this time. Watson left, Lee to the right. Tia and Bolden in the wings. Tacked alone back. Kiffin backfires. Oh, incomplete on the near side for Lee. He was open, but the pass was underthrown, and the Eagles take possession.
A little squaring pattern for the running back. Just find that little opening, that little seam right behind the linebacker, but the pass just a little bit awry, a little short. Unfortunately, Lloyd Lee was wide open there. Kennedy holds, and they'll get the ball back, avoiding a big rally there by Jefferson. Really would have put him behind the 8 ball if they got a touchdown in this drive.
Yeah, 17-0 would be pretty tough for Kennedy at this point. But they get the ball at their own 30. They start the second half. This is their first drive, and it gives to Mosley up the middle, and he gets to the hard way as the hole wasn't quite there, and Dave Watson shut it down quickly as he brought down Mosley single-handedly. Cass gets a couple, and it's 2nd and 8.
Mosley had 35 yards in the first half, a lot of that late in the second quarters. Never really had a chance to get anything underway with their short drives that they had. Good defense in the middle there by Dave Watson, who's playing on both sides of the ball. Give him 2 on that and make it 2nd and 8 at the 32.
And another stoppage in play. And something apparently was
equipment.
Equipment with Watson. As we see a pan shot of the home crowd tonight, if you will, which happens to be Kennedy. Next week, of course, we'll be here as the Jaguars take on the Eagles, this time from Eden Prairie, under the direction of second-year head coach at that program anyway, of Mike Grant. Talk about some ties with the Vikings for that game.
Yes, on both sides of the ball.
Pretty good storyline there. 2nd and 8, 32-yard line. Much now giving off to Mosley as he gets across the 40 to the 42-yard line, has the first down, but there's a flag on the play. And the quick hitter to Cass picks up 10 yards, but let's see who the flag is on.
I think it might have been a hold as they tried to, well, no, they call it a motion play as they ran the second back through faking the belly. That's a play they like to run when they run Shannon Leonard in the middle, get them to key on him, but unfortunately there was they were in motion on the offensive line. That one will come back. Another key moment. Kennedy with another infraction as penalties begin to build. They have 4 now for 40 yards.
Yeah, they're penalties. They haven't had many, but they've really come at inopportune times. So that backs them up 5. And it becomes 2nd and 13 from their own 27-yard line. And again, the Kennedy offense trying to get it going. Mosley has 7 carries for 36 yards. Leonard has 5 for 21, but after that, nothing has virtually happened. Out of the eye, 1st and 10, and the give is to Leonard. And he really takes a pounding on the inside and gets 5 the hard way. And a host of Jefferson tacklers there. Grimes, Tia, Watson, Cicchini, you name it.
You name it, the whole defense. That's what it took to bring him down practically. The first guy very rarely gets Shannon Leonard down. He's tough up the middle. That's what they've been trying to establish all night to open up other things, and that hasn't happened so far. Now on 3rd and 6, facing another 3rd and semi-long situation.
Strong right this time. Willis in the slot. Lundquist wide to the near side. They're out of the eye. Munch is back. Here comes the blitz, and down goes Munch, and he never had a chance.
Scott Feltman made sure of that. He came on a blitz through the nose guard position, getting into the back field. He had a lot of good rushes last week against Egan. Didn't get a sack, but a lot of hurries, forcing Egan's quarterback into some Some hurried throws and an interception.
First sack of the night for Jefferson. And again, Andy Much will be on to do the kicking. Lee is back at about his own 38-yard line. Has plenty of time and gets it away. High kick, but pretty short. But gets an eagle bounce, and it will drop dead at the Jefferson 42-yard line. And the Jaguars will start their second drive of the second half from that point. 6:59 to go in the third, and after a very briskly played first half, it's really come to a grind here in the second half.
It's kind of stagnated. Time point of the game where Jefferson now with the field possession, field advantage, and they're trying to take advantage of it.
From the 42-yard line, Jaguars have the ball, 1st and 10, as Kiffin bootlegs on the right side, 45-50. 45 still on his feet, and he's brought down to the 42-yard line. Kiffin on that quick bootleg around the right side, picks up 15 yards, call it 16 yards, and a Jefferson first down.
Josh Mix making the tackle is on the option. Contained by the outside linebacker, wasn't kept as he tried to go for the pitch man. Kiffin went with the quarterback draw, getting 16 yards, his best carry on the evening. Knew we'd see that sooner or later. He's good for at least one of those a game. Now over 20 yards on his 4th carry, and a first down for Jefferson at 42.
And the quick hitter goes to Bolden, I believe. And he gets about a yard at the most. Now make that, who was that? Let's see, let's check the bottom of the pile here.
Ryan Tack, I believe.
Yeah, it is Tack,
ball.
okay. Tack gets a yard. And, well, they'll give him no gain of play. They'll give him a yard. Make it 2nd and 9 from the 41. Lee to the left. Watson to the right. Again, a balanced set. Kiffin audibleizing as Tia is in motion. And a flag in the play. This will be on Jefferson, and the pass is caught at the 35-yard line by Lee, but this one's going to come back as well.
I believe it'll be a motion penalty or hold. We'll see.
The flags are flying in this game.
Yes, it is motion once again. I do believe they had 2 players moving. You can only have one, and they flagged that. Jefferson amassing the penalties themselves. They have 6. Actually, their last penalty wasn't for any yardage loss. It just negated the play. They didn't lose any yards in field possession, but still they have 6 penalties on the evening. And Shea can't be happy about that, as they're really starting to mount another good drive and pushing themselves back with the, I think, their 4th motion penalty of the evening.
Becomes now 2nd and 14. They'll spot the ball at the 47-yard line. Clock on the move, 5.5 to go in the third. Jefferson still with a 10-0 lead. Gibbs to the left, Watson to the right. Lee is in motion, and Kiffin takes the snap. Here comes the blitz, and oh, they're coming this time, and he is not going to get away as he is horse-collared back at the 32-yard line and making the play for the Eagles. Let's double-check that number, 57.
That's 57. Didn't have that on a program.
Mathis with the sack, and
it is Mathis getting in there. Good pressure from the linebacking position. He was the one that got sucked in on the quarterback draw a couple plays ago, but this time he had Kiffin in his sights, didn't let him get away. That's a big loss. Whew. Humongous, about a 17-yard sack on that one.
That's a big one. First sack for Kennedy. 2nd and a couple of miles, as now here's a shock at the flag in the play. We see a still shot of Tim Mathis, 6'4", 205 pounds. And another 5-yarder on Jefferson. 2nd and 38 from the 30-yard line. And Kiffin again will take the snap. He has time, long down the near side for Lee, and it is incomplete. Everyone got turned around on that one. He was defended this time by Robertson, along with some help from Dwyer. And it becomes 4th and the punting unit.
Just a deep fly pattern by the running back. Had zone coverage, no openings for Lee. Pass going awry. Big sack forces the punt. Kennedy will get a chance to get maybe good field position.
Bolden will kick. Miller on the left, Mosley on the right. The snap is back. Here they come, and he gets it away, and they didn't call the roughing as Mosley takes the carry to the 45. He's up to the 50-yard line, and that's where he's dropped. And Swartout making the hit, along with some help from number 88 for the Jaguars,
which is Aaron Sinclair, who usually starts on defense, seeing a lot more special teams duty. As Kennedy's defense helps set up this punt return by Cass Mosley, and now they have the field position in their side. It looked like Jefferson had the field tilted their way. Now it's up to their offense to really start getting something going here.
Yeah, it's time for him to get going. From the midfield stripe, 1st and 10. Mosley up the middle, and he gets about 5 before being brought down by Watson, along with Cicchini as well. And it is 2nd and 5.
Just a good off-tackle play up the middle behind Gutierrez, Bradley. The center and right side getting 5 yards. Mosley over the 40-yard mark now. So it's a 2nd and 5, setting up a situation Kennedy likes to be in.
Strong right this time as Much takes a snap, gives to Mosley. Cass hits the outside of the 45. Mosley 40, Mosley 35, and he's pulled out of bounds inside the 30-yard line. Spot him out of bounds at the 28-yard line, and that's the biggest gain of the night for the Eagles. Cass Mosley around the left side. Picks up 17 yards and a Kennedy 1st down.
Good ceiling block on Hock T as he tried to come in and snuff out the play, but Cass Mosley was able to get outside with his good speed. He's tough to bring down, shaking off a couple tacklers, getting his biggest gain of the evening, nearing the 60-yard mark on 9 carries. And now Kennedy really on the move, 1st and 10 at the 28 of Jefferson.
Out of the eye, strong left this time. Willis and Lundquist out to the left. It'll be Mosley off the right side. Turns it inside of the 25-yard line, and that's where it'll land. He picks up a couple of yards that time. Has 10 carries for 60 yards now.
Mosley carrying, initial tackle by Johnston.
And it becomes 2nd and 8.
See on the replay, Dave Watson slowing down Cass Mosley now before he can get 3 yards. Pretty good defensive stand that time, but Cass Mosley now really churning the yards out on this drive, trying to get Kennedy on the scoreboard here late in the 3rd quarter.
Lundquist and Willis to the near side this time from a 25-yard line. Give to Leonard up the middle. He crosses the 20 down to the 18-yard line, and he's fairly close to a 1st down. Looks like he may be about a yard short. Brought down by Stump along with Stokel. And it becomes 3rd and almost 2 yards to go for a 1st down, so he picks up 6 on the play.
On the replay, you saw the tough yards once again by Shannon Leonard. Just when you think you key on Mosley, they'll run Shannon Leonard up the middle. He can spring one if you're not careful, and he's tough to bring down.
3rd and a long 1. Much will keep, has the 1st down, lands inside the 15 down near the 10-yard line. In fact, he is right at the 10-yard line, and that'll give the Eagles their deepest penetration of the night. 1st down, and they're just outside the 10, so they could conceivably get a 1st down here.
Lance Much doing what he does well, saw the opening, no nose guard over the center, so he just took the ball. Look at that opening there. He had 2 or 3 yards free before he was encroached by the defense and brought down, but not until he netted the 1st down. Kennedy with their biggest threat, really moving the ball well following that fine punt return and fine defensive stand on the sack by Tim Mathis helped to make this possible. See if Kennedy can cash in now and get back into this game late in the third quarter with 1:28 left.
Yeah, they really need to get something here. No question about it. First down, just outside the 10-yard line. Into the game now for Kennedy is Chris Renke. Much under center. Give to Leonard, and he gets nothing. They were waiting for him right in the middle, and Shannon Leonard gets nothing on the carry, and it becomes 2nd and 10.
They were playing the up back that time, waiting for Shannon Leonard to get the ball, and sure enough, he did. They're waiting for him, and they won't give him anything on that, as Matt Stump was the first to hit him, followed by Shakini and others, stopping Leonard's progress. They do give him a yard, making it 2nd and 9.
Out of the eye this time, balance set. Lundquist right, Willis to the left, much back, steps, fire. Oh, Lundquist at the goal line, had his fingertips on it. Couldn't quite haul in the pass. It was a little tall for him. Grimes on the coverage. It becomes 3rd down from the 9.
Second time Lundquist has seen a pass come his way deep in Jefferson territory just to be a little bit too tall as he stretched out trying to get to that ball. All 6'2" of him stretched out for it. Ball, unfortunately, was about 6'4", falling out of bounds, and now it's 3rd and 9 at the 9.
Strong left again this time as Rezab is in the game along with Willis on the right side, and Much is back. He wants to keep, and he has nowhere to go. The play is blown dead, although the ball was fumbled. And it becomes 4th down, and here comes the field goal unit.
That's Bo Johnston, who had a strong game against Egan, special teams, and he's been starting the last couple games. See him make the tackle there. Good contain on the option, Much with nowhere to go, and that's a sack, the second one for Jefferson.
Loss of 4 on the play. Ball spotted at the 13. And we're going to be switching ends here before he gets the kickoff. So we get to the third quarter with no scoring. Kennedy in position to get on the board here, though, as we head to the fourth. It's Jefferson 10, Kennedy nothing, and you're watching Bloomington football on BEC-TV, the station of champions.
Young people from all walks of life have volunteered to take part in a frightening experiment. They are allowing their brains to be altered. Altered to induce paranoia, heart malfunction, memory loss, even early senility. Unfortunately, this is not an experiment. It's what slowly happens to you when you keep smoking pot. No one has to alter your brain. You've already volunteered to do it to yourself.
This will be a 30-yard attempt for Kirk Hansen. Hansen is perfect so far on the year. This would be his longest made this year if he were to put it through. Lundquist will hold. The snap is down. The kick is away, and it is going to be short. As Hansen was considerably short on that one. He never had a chance at it.
No, unfortunately, it was dead center, but only 25 yards, and he needed 30, his first miss of the season. 3 points would have been big there. Of course, a touchdown even bigger. But Kennedy comes away with nothing after a fine third quarter with their defense making this drive possible. Now Jefferson gets the ball back, dodging a bullet.
Jaguars will take it over at the 20-yard line as we start the fourth quarter. And Kennedy's scoring futility continues. As we open up the fourth quarter. Out of the eye as Gibbs to the near side. toss goes to Lee, left side. Lee to the 30, Lee to the 35, Lee out to the 36-yard line. And they'll give him 5 on the play, and it becomes 2nd and 5.
Best running night of the season for Lloyd Lee, over 90 yards now. Just quick pitches. Jefferson will keep it on the ground, try and chew up as much of the clock as possible with a 10-point lead. Things in hand so far for themselves if they hold on to the ball.
Again, this will be Lee off the left side. He's across the 40 at about the 42 or 43-yard line, and that's good enough for a first down. Spot the ball at the 40, or make that the 33-yard line. That's a gain of 8 more in the play for Lee.
And each play more demoralizing for Kennedy's defense, which had a big stand, and see the sails a little bit at half mast now. I'm sure they're sucking air a little bit, being out on the field quite a bit, starting with that first kickoff of the game.
1st and 10 again, Lee left side, and he gets to about, well, back to the line of scrimmage, it looks like. Give him no gain on the play. Make it 2nd and 10.
Well, if there's any fight left, Kennedy's going to have to do it with their defense here to get the ball back. Fine stop by Rob Hollenbeck coming from his right linebacker position. Stop Lloyd Lee for no gain.
Lee now 19 carries for 99 yards. 2nd and 10 from the 32. Lee, right side, 30, 35, still on his feet. Gets to the 40, spins ahead to the 42-yard line. That'll leave him about a yard shy of the first down. Pickup of 9, that puts him over the century mark on 20 carries, and it becomes 3rd and 1.
Lee running to daylight very well and getting good blocking, too, and he's really using his blocking well. Ryan Tack providing the outside block, and Lee cutting inside and also breaking tackles very well as he got through Tim Mathis, who was blocked off, and then the 2 would-be tacklers to carry him for 3 more yards to make it now a 3rd and 1.
Same formation again they've used this whole drive, and it's Lee off the left side. Has the first down as he crosses the 45 to the 46-yard line. Pickup of 4 on the play. That's another Jaguar first down. His 2nd here of this drive.
Twice as many first downs, 14-7. You see once again trying to size up. Lloyd Lee was a linebacker, but not till he could get the first down. Big stat is 3rd down efficiency. We haven't really talked about. Kennedy is 0 of 6 in that category. Jefferson, on the other hand, 3 of 8.
9:20 to go in this one. Here comes the end around. No, Lee fakes it, and he's going to get dropped in the backfield. Nice alert play there by the Eagles. In on the stop was Corey Mick. Mick making the stop, waited for help to arrive. Lee actually loses about 3 yards in the play, and it becomes 2nd and 13.
That time staying at home was Corey Mick, not being fooled. If he had went with the flow of the play, that was his side that would have been exposed, but a good play there. He's made several fine plays tonight. Force the 2nd and long, 2nd and call it 14.
Now they come out of the eye this time. They spread the offense. Has Kiffin his back, 3-step drop, fires to Watson, who makes the grab. He hits the 50-yard line, and that's where the play ends. And making the tackle for Kennedy was Hollenbeck.
It was actually Lloyd Lee catching that pass.
Oh, okay.
As Watson wasn't even in the play there. It was kind of crowded there, but Lloyd Lee getting that reception, his 6th of the evening.
Lee with the grab, good for 7 yards. And it is 3rd down and 6. Kiffin is back, fires near side. It is, oh man. That was almost 60 the other way as Larry Miller was in position to pick it off and take it 60 yards the other way. And it becomes 4th down.
See Dave Watson there, the leading receiver in Lake Red. Somebody ran the wrong pattern there because the only person in the area was Larry Miller. He was ready to make the reception going the other way. Fortunately, couldn't come up with it. Jefferson forced the punt, but it would have been a big play to get Kennedy back in the game, but they will get the ball back.
Miller and Mosley back again. Here comes the rush, and Bolden, beautiful kick. Mosley calls for the fair catch at the 21-yard line, and that's where the Kennedy will start with 7:54 to go in this one. Jaguars continue to hold a 10-point lead, and I got to believe Kennedy is going to have to score this drive.
Yeah,
There's
this
no
is the
question.
drive.
Yep.
It has to be here. They're not a passing team. Depend a lot on the run. That takes time, and they don't have a lot of it left. So this is where they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to get some points, a touchdown, namely. I don't think a field goal at this point is something they really want. They need a touchdown here, and this is the drive. It's got to happen.
21-yard line, 1st and 10. As much gives off to Mosley on the delay, and he gets about 2 yards off the left side. Becomes 2nd and 8 as Lundquist comes off the field.
See Cass Mosley almost fumbling the exchange there, holding it on his hip and securing it as he gets tackled, fortunately, or that would have been a big turnover.
Give him 3 on the play. Hit him for 2, give him 3 yards. 2nd and 7. Willis to the left. Much turns it inside. Lance gets up near the 30-yard line.
Much gets carried to the 30.
Much picks up 6 on the play, leaving a 3rd and 1.
Tackle made by Scott Feldman, one of the defensive stars last couple of games, with a sack tonight. Contained much in the middle, a good run, finding a little seam, but they stopped him short of the 1st down, and they keep the clock winding, which is now about 6:45. Big 3rd down play, 3rd and short from the Kennedy 30.
Willis out to the far side.
New movement on the right side. Number 77, Kevin Hartman, came out of his stance a little bit too early.
And that one will cost the Eagles 5 yards. First penalty here in the 4th quarter. And if my count is right, I've got him for 5 penalties, total of 45 yards.
And unfortunately, Kennedy looked like they might have a chance to convert on their first 3rd down of the evening. They're 0 for 6 at this point. Now that pushes them back to 3rd and long, 3rd and 6. And a more adverse situation. See how they come out of it.
Lundquist and Willis to the near side this time as they go heavy on the left side. Mosley off the right side, and he will go nowhere. Oh, and he got out of about 3 tackles there. Looked like he was going to get brought down. Struggled back to the 27-yard line on a late flag here. And let's see what happens here. It may, well, let's see here. It's hard to tell who it's on at this point.
They're not really giving us any idea.
This may be another situation where they pick up the flag. Nope, I guess they won't.
Sportsmanlike on Kennedy.
Wow, that's frustration right there.
Sure it is. It's one thing after another when they seem like they're in position to get a touchdown. Earlier in the game, they fumble and had trouble getting any offense mounted all night, and they faced a 3rd and 1, only have a penalty. It's just one thing after another, and short fuses seem to go off. Before you know it, another penalty.
So Mosley picked up 2 yards. That gives him 65 on 12 carries. And they step off the penalty from there. Kennedy now with 6 penalties in the game. Half of them have been of the 15-yard variety. 6 penalties for 60 yards.
Those are 3 big ones. One was a clip, negating a good play. Just can't have those kind of mental mistakes.
No, you sure can't. On top of that, they had, I believe they had a personal foul as well.
Yes, they did.
And when you're a team that is not a catch-up type ball club, one that relies on ball control, you just cannot have those kind of mistakes.
And And they have, and that's why they're trailing by 10. Just under 6 minutes to go.
Much back for the 6th time to kick tonight, and he gets it away. Low liner, takes a hop at the 40, bounces to the 43-yard line. Lee just lets it go, and Jefferson's in terrific position to finish this one off. They'll take the ball at the Kennedy 42-yard line, up by 10 with 5:44 to go.
Yeah, the fine field position, all they have to do is hold the ball, and they can take something off the clock if they don't mount much of a drive here with just over 5 minutes to go. Kennedy now with many chances left, maybe one last gasp or a turnover, the only thing that can save them at this point. They'll be pinned deep in their territory if they do get the ball back before a touchdown.
Out of the eye, Gibbs to the near side, and it'll be Lee on the delay. Lee to the 40. Lee getting down to the 38-yard line before Hollenbeck brought him down. But he picked up 4, and it's 2nd down and 6 to go.
Just a little draw play. Good hole initially, but then filled by Rob Hollenbeck, making his 7th solo tackle of the evening. Give him 4 on that in 2nd and 6. Clock continuing to go, just over 5 minutes left in this one.
Same formation. And again, it is Lee off the left side of the 35, near the 1st down mark at about the 33, 34-yard line. Looks like, well, I'm sure they're going to have to call a timeout here to at least take a measurement. Maybe not, though.
Once again, getting the handoff for the 24th time is Lloyd Lee. Tackled by Kirk Hansen coming out of the nose guard position. Stop him just short 1 yard of the 1st down marker, making it 3rd and 1.
Lee with a terrific game tonight, certainly on course to be the BEC player of the game, as Kiffin will keep. Has more than enough for the 1st down as he's inside the 30-yard line. Kiffin picks up 4 yards there. He has 26 yards tonight on 5 carries, but to this point, Lee unofficially 25 carries for 117 yards. He also has 72 yards in receptions for a touchdown.
Yeah, about 200 yards total offense. Did you see Kiffin get the 1st down, the 4th converted 3rd down attempt in 10 tries rather. 40% clip, pretty good. Kennedy still has not converted a 3rd down try, and that's been one of the big keys of the game.
4 minutes to go in this one. 1st and 10. Lee, left side. Lee to the 30. Lee to the 25-yard line, and he stays in bounds, which is probably most important at this point. Picks up 5 yards.
Jefferson's consistently getting 4 to 5 yards. 1st down. Once again, you see Josh Anderson providing some running room for Lloyd Lee, as he's had that all night long. The first 2 or 3 yards free, and then just picks his way and breaks tackles when he can to get what he can get out of a play.
2nd and 6 make it. And this will be Lee up the middle to the 20, across the 25, down to the 22-yard line. Hansen in on the tackle, along with Mathis as well. Bradley getting off the bottom of the pile. Leaves it now 3rd and 2, pick up on the play of 4 yards.
Larry Miller helping to hang on to slow Lloyd Lee down on that to force the 3rd and short, but once again, the line of scrimmage being dominated. We've seen Jefferson's fine offensive line do that all year long.
3rd and 2, and it will be Lee off the right side, Lee across the 20 to the 19-yard line. That should be enough for a 1st down, and indeed it is. Lee with 3 more now, has 128 yards on the ground tonight.
And once again, another big 3rd down conversion. Not that Jefferson really needed it at this point, but not leaving anything to chance. They can secure the game here one way or another, scoring or just holding on to the ball.
And a timeout has been called here. Or maybe it's an official timeout. Kennedy calls a timeout with 2:33 to go in this one. Their 1st of 3.
And maybe I shouldn't say this too soon, but Jefferson working on a string now of 3 games. If they complete this one without a turnover, that's been a big key to their turnaround. They lost a game in their last 3, including this one, if they continue to hold the lead. But that game was against Burnsville, a game they were in position to win. So this goes to show you, no matter what you have on either side of the ball, you have a chance if you hold on to the ball, and that's been the key to Jefferson's turnaround the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, if you don't turn the ball over, it's pretty tough to lose the game. Or at least the odds are more in your favor of coming out ahead. And ironically, the only touchdown in this game came off Kennedy's only turnover of the game. So there's a good case in point right there.
Which was their best drive, oddly enough, unfortunately for them. Came up after they turned it over. Jefferson got their only touchdown so far, and that was just before the end of the half. And I think that's the difference in the game here.
First and 10 from the Eagle 19-yard line. Wenberg in the game now onto the far side. Lee to the 20, Lee to the 15. Lee all the way down to the 11-yard line. Carried the last 2 tacklers with him. That was Dwyer that was in on there along with Hanson, along with Mix.
Let me tell you, David Robertson was really shielded by a great block by Ryan Tack, who's providing a lot of good running lanes. We got to give credit where it's due. It's helped Lloyd Lee all evening, the offensive line, and fine blocking by Ryan Tack, who doesn't get enough credit. He's only carried the ball twice, but it's providing a lot of good blocks.
Lee fumbles the ball, and it is recovered by Kennedy. Yes, sir. Eagles come up with the ball at the 5-yard line. And just as we had talked about, not turning it over.
Spoke a little bit too soon, I guess.
And the Eagles will start the ball, or start this drive from their own 4-yard line with 1:55 to go.
Just a quick hitter. Ball covered by Ted Bradley, the left tackle, to give Kennedy a last gasp effort with 1:55 to at least get points on the board. They'll be hard pressed to do that, though, way at their end of the field.
Lundquist and Willis to the far side. Bunch is back in his own end zone, and he's hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete.
That was Matt Stump getting there on a corner blitz, or rather a linebacker blitz, and Much got his arm hit. He looks a little bit shaken. He's holding that arm, because he didn't see it on the blind side. That's why blind side protection is important. Fortunately, Much couldn't get the ball to receiver's hands, but fortunate to get the ball off at all, forcing a 2nd down and 10.
Lance has had a tough night throwing the ball. 1 out of 6 for 5 yards. And again, the same formation as Willis and it'll be Mosley on the delayed pass across the 10-yard line out to the 13-yard line. About a yard shy of the first down, however, though, and it becomes 3rd and a yard.
Tackle made by Shane Finley, or Mosley would have had a lot more. Mosley really having a good game after the early going. Fortunately, they haven't been able to put the ball in the end zone, but he's been one of the few glimmers of light for Kennedy here tonight. See on a misdirection play, 2nd back through, getting good blocking on the left side behind Dietz and Hollenbeck, who's going on both sides of the ball. Forcing a 3rd and 1, 9 yards on that carry.
Under a minute to go now, 3rd and 1. Rezab in the game now. And it is Mosley, make that Much on the keeper, across the 15, has the first down. That will stop the clock momentarily to reset the chains. He gets out, call it the 16-yard line. As Much picks up 3. Lance now with 25 yards on 6 tries. Kennedy calls their 2nd timeout.
And that's the first time they've converted a 3rd down. Fortunately, I think it's come a little bit too late. They're now 1 of 8. They're pinned down still inside their 20-yard line with just over a half minute left. Kennedy trying to mount last half-minute trickery to try to get some points on the board. Try to come out of this with little consolation, but Jefferson in the driver's seat at this point, Marcus. Jefferson's defense has really been the difference, and any chance Kennedy has had has been shot down by penalties, fumbles. Even though they've only lost one, they fumbled the ball 4 times at the beginning. 3 at the beginning of drives that helped halt their drives, and not being a predominantly pass-oriented team, being in second and third and long has really halted their offense all night.
Yeah, they just really never had it going, even from the first series when Much fumbled the ball. In each of the first 2 series, they just never had it going. And although this is the first time we've seen the team this year, this clearly has been the one bad game they've had out of 3 so far. 1st and 10 from the 16, and Much is back off the play action. Fires long, and it is incomplete. Intended on the far side for Andy Much, the tight end.
Much to Much. Didn't come up with much there.
Man.
I had to make a play on that one.
You just had to get that.
I was hoping
one
for that opportunity, and
Yeah.
it came late in the game, but I'm glad to get that off and nothing else.
Yeah, so are we. 33 seconds to go. Second down. Much back. Fires, caught, hook and ladder to Mosley, and he is out of bounds at 25. That is going to be about a yard or 2 shy of the first down.
It's only the second completion, both of them to Mosley. And we've seen that hook and ladder several times this year. Just a desperation move, trying to get something going late in the game. Shane Finley there to make the tackle. 3rd down and 10 facing Kennedy, 27 seconds left.
It'll actually be 3rd and about 1 as they come out and take a measurement here. Jefferson will go to 3-2 overall, 2-2 in the conference. A much needed win for Jefferson. They basically need them all at this point. And depending on the outcome of the Eden Prairie-Burnsville clash tonight, if the Eagles were to win, EP would be coming in with a 5-0 mark. Certainly would be improving upon their current number 9 ranking on the AA level.
Yes, they'll definitely be in the top 5. If they win at home, they anticipate a big crowd of maybe around 4,000 at Eden Prairie. Big matchup of the year so far. Both teams in the top 10. Also Apple Valley there. They haven't played either one of those teams yet.
27 seconds to go as Much is back, and Lance looks and steps and fires, and it is overthrown for Lundquist along the far sideline.
Batting coverage was Alec Klotz.
And another flag.
Why am I not surprised? They're talking to Kennedy, so maybe it's on Jefferson. I'm not sure. Maybe something, well, looks like they're going Kennedy's way once again, though.
And Much is hurt. Lance has got a shoulder problem, and he is really hurt.
And I think it might have stemmed from that, as we see the play there, the incompletion might have stemmed from that blitz from Matt Stump earlier where he hit Much in the end zone and he was holding his arm gingerly then. And has looked a little bit shaken from that point on. I think maybe the pain starting to mount more and more with each play as they're tending to Lance Much on the sidelines. I do believe that blitz is the play that started the injury process.
Kevin Steinolfson is in the game now for the Eagles at the quarterback spot with 22 seconds to go and a 2nd and 10 from the 26. Fumbled snap, and let's see who's got that one. Leonard comes up with it. And Shannon finally is brought down to the 32-yard line. And another stoppage in play, and we've got somebody that's down for Kennedy. As Mathis is down, I believe.
Continue to tend to Much on the sideline. You see the play there is when a quarterback comes off cold. Often that center exchange snap can be a precarious one. Fortunately, Shannon Leonard was there to gather it in and actually pick up 7 yards to make it 2nd down and 3 as the center exchange once again not secured by Kevin Steinolfson. But Shannon Leonard was in the right place to get that one and get actually a pretty good gain on it. But pretty impertinent at this point, except for statistic purposes.
Third down now, 3 to go. And again, it's wide to the right with Willis and Lundquist out there. Steinolfson under center takes the snap, and again he fumbles the ball, and now who's going to come up with it?
I think Kennedy once again did get that, fortunately.
But that will leave him shy of the fourth down.
Yes, it will.
And this one comes to an end. Well, all the scoring was done in the first half as the Jaguars opened the game on a 16-play drive that started from the 20-yard line and took them to the 9-yard line. Jeff Giovanazzo then kicked a 25-yard field goal that put Jefferson up 3-0 rather from the 25-yard line. And they closed out the first half on a 29-yard pass from Kiffin to Lloyd Lee. I mean, at 10-0, and that is the final. Jefferson 10, Kennedy nothing. When we come back, we'll start the post-game wrap right after this. You've been watching Bloomington Football on BEC-TV.
Now, kid, be cool. You just give the stuff to your best buddies. Tell your friends it's a great high. Tell them it can't hurt them.
I can do that.
Just give it away. And you see who comes back for more.
And then I start charging.
You're a smart kid. You have a good day at school, Billy boy.
Big win tonight for the Jaguars. They go to 3-2 overall, 2-2 in the conference with a win, of course, over a very tough inner-city rival with Kennedy. The 10-0 win, of course, one stand sheet you desperately had to have. You couldn't afford to go 1-3 in the conference in this conference.
Yeah, no, that's right. We knew Kennedy would be real physical. We came out a lot of two tights eye and tossed the ball Lloyd Lee quite a bit. I think you said 28 carries. Mm-hmm. That's a real working night, and we controlled the ball pretty well. We had a nice drive before the half throwing the football, and other than that, our defense pretty much shut them down. Kennedy's a good football team. They're well prepared, they're well coached, and it was a good football game.
Yeah, it was. Very good struggle game, and there was no scoring in the second half. And number 29, senior tailback Lloyd Lee, BEC player of the game, 28 carries, 137 yards, 6 grabs for 72 yards. Other than that, you didn't do a thing tonight.
Well, I just never got that ball that many times, but it's really tiring getting the ball 28 times. But you just try to get the yards and try to win.
The game plan, obviously, with the heavy carry, particularly on the left side. When you opened the game, you had a 16-play drive to open the scoring. A lot of them to the left side. You must have saw something in the films or knew something beforehand to make you want to dictate the run that way.
Yeah, Mix is a great player, and we try to stay away from him. Put Watson on the other side, and then Mix goes over there, and we run to the left.
Game plan stand as far as running the ball. Was that kind of the game plan to see how far that would go? And if you had to go to the passing game, you would?
Well, they play a 5-man front on defense, and we knew when we were in two tights we'd lock them into just a straight 5 front. And we thought we could run some power and some toss, and Lloyd did a great job, and our offensive line up front did a nice job. I think Bo Johnson blocked real well at tight end. We wanted to be fairly physical. It was good for our offensive line. It was good for Lloyd to carry 28 times. That's the most he's ever carried in a game, like he said. And against some teams, we need to be able to sustain it and drive the football on the ground. So it was a good night for us all the way around.
Yeah, and as far as being able to run on the Kennedy defense, which has done very well to this point, coming into the game statistically, a lot of success, and I'm sure you're happy with the ground game.
Yeah, we did. Mix is a real good linebacker, and as Lloyd said, we ran a lot of things into the sidelines, away from their strong safety, and hopefully running away from Mix as much as we could. He's a very good defensive player.
And he's getting a lot of attention, at least nationally, as far as the recruiting goes. So a little early for this question, but you've got potentially the unbeaten team in the Lake Conference coming in next week with Eden Prairie. They're, of course, coming off a spotlight game against Burnsville. Very potential matchup here. Could be a good situation for you. Eden Prairie at home for 3 straight games, first road game in a month.
It'll be a big game. You know, whatever happens to Burnsville leading Prairie tonight doesn't really matter. We've been out 5 times now, and every game we've had a great effort. We had great efforts from the Richfield game right on through tonight. A shutout for our defense tonight is good. We're just keyed up. We're ready to go again, and whatever happens, it's going to be a great football game.
Certainly will. And speaking of the shutout now, Kennedy, or I should say the Jefferson defense, has shut out Kennedy for 8 consecutive quarters. So Stan Shane Lloyd lead, 10-0 lead, or 10-0 win for the Jaguars. Daryl, how about some post-game stats?
Thank you, Mark. I'm back up here in the booth to give you a little wrap-up on the statistical part of the game. Jefferson held on to win the game 10-0. Coach Stan Shea's strategy working to perfection as Kennedy running many 5, 6, sometimes 7-man fronts, and they used the double tight end set to offset that and try to take Josh Mix out of the game defensively and run away from him, and they did that successfully, running to the left and right, running the sweeps and the quick pitches to let Lloyd Lee pick his holes, and he did that well in the fine offensive line. Jan Ellis, Paul Kane, Steve Stokel, Aaron Swartout, and John Anderson helped to make that possible. As you see a play there that netted them some yardage. We saw a lot of that all night as Lee was able to pick and choose his holes wisely. Looking at the rushing yardage, Lloyd Lee actually carried the ball 29 times for 139 yards. Ryan Tack provided a lot of good blocking out of the backfield. Have to give him some credit too. Total rushing yards 168 for Jefferson to 145 for Kennedy. Kennedy got a lot of that in the second half. Getting back to Jefferson now with the passing yardage, Lane Kiffin didn't throw an interception for the 3rd straight game. In all, he was 10 of 17 for 110 yards. Primary target tonight being Lloyd Lee, 6 for 70 yards and a touchdown. Lloyd Lee now 17 receptions on the year with 2 touchdowns, 146 yards, and Lee has 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. 278 total yards to Kennedy's 159. Leading rushers for Kennedy, Cass Mosley 75 yards and Shannon Leonard with 41. Lance Much just 2 of 9 for 14 yards. And the only turnover of the game was a big one. It was by Steve Willis during the best drive of the game for the Eagles. Following that, Lloyd Lee got a touchdown just before the half with 14 seconds left. And that probably was the backbreaker, as it was a pretty tight matchup from that point. And going into the locker room with 10-0 lead really gave the vault that Jefferson needed to carry this one to the end, and they won the game 10-0. Jefferson now 3-2 on the year, beating Richfield in non-conference, beating Egan and Kennedy in the conference. Tough losses here at home to Apple Valley and on the road to Burnsville. Chaska and St. Louis Park are the teams that Kennedy has beat. They lost their only 2 conference games, a tough one to Eden Prairie, and losing to Jefferson. Some stars of the game tonight on defense. Scott Feldman had a big sack, and so did Bo Johnson, who also, as Coach Shea mentioned, provided some good blocking. He also had a sack. And Tim Mathis for Kennedy playing a sound game, and Josh Mix still was able to get 7 solo tackles. Rob Hollenbeck, just to name a few for Kennedy, also had a fine game. Well, the final again tonight, Jefferson 10, Kennedy nothing in the 93 battle of Bloomington. Jefferson coming out on top again. We'll be back to end this one for October 1, 1993, the first game of October, after this on BEC, the Station of Champions.
All aluminum cans are recyclable, and almost 2/3 of them are being recycled. All across the country, groups of people are joining together to participate in a great aluminum can roundup. From scouting troops, schools and churches to senior citizens, civic and charitable organizations, people are funding special projects by collecting recyclable aluminum cans for a cash return. Every can counts in the Great Aluminum Can Roundup. To find out how your group can participate, call toll-free for a Great Aluminum Can Roundup starter kit.
For the 5th straight year, the Battle of Bloomington goes to the Jefferson Jaguars, as for the 2nd consecutive year, the Jaguars shut out the Eagles, this time by a 10-0 count. Lloyd Lee, he was the story of the game. 28 carries, 137 yards, had 6 grabs for 73 yards, scored a touchdown. Terrific night.
Yes, also providing some good defense. I guess you can say he can do it all. He scored 2 touchdowns here against Egan last week, and this time he gets another touchdown and improves on his efforts, doing it both receiving and rushing the ball, and that was the difference for Jefferson on offense. And on defense, they stymied Kennedy all night, and when Kennedy wasn't moving the ball, they were fumbling it, and only turned it over once, but fumbled it early in their series of drives, and that snuffed out any chance they had in a lot of drives, because they really don't have any varied offense. They run the ball well, and if they can't get second in short situations, that puts them in a tough frame of mind.
Yeah, that's true. And Kennedy, of course, besieged by penalties tonight. They also had they only had 1 turnover, but they had 4 fumbles, but the 1 turnover cost them 7 points as the Jaguars went down from there. Scoring on a strike from Kiffin to Lee for 29 yards to close out the first half, and that was the last of the scoring as the Jaguars win at 10-0. We should also do a preliminary report here in that Lance Much, Kennedy's quarterback, has suffered a separated shoulder. We do not know to what severe degree at this point, but he was in a considerable amount of pain after the game, and that certainly is not good news for Kennedy.
No, he's really a gamer. He continued to play. I'm pretty sure that injury came on that blitz by Matt Stump when he hit his arm, forcing the ball to go awry. He stayed in the game, tried to keep going, then finally he had to pull himself out, and hopefully it's nothing too serious where he won't miss too much time. But preliminary reports show it might be the season for him. We don't know for sure, but I hope he can recover. And I know the pain has to be agonizing at this point, not just losing, but the pain at hand, and hopefully he'll be able to bounce back.
Yeah, we certainly want to see Lance come around in a hurry. Kennedy drops to 2-2 overall. They're 0-2 in the Lake Conference. They'll go to Egan next week to take on the Wildcats. Jefferson sets himself up in position now. They up their mark to 2-2 in conference play, 3-2 overall for the '93 season, and they have what could be the top team in the conference coming in next week in Eden Prairie, who is playing Burnsville tonight in a very big game in the metro area. And if Eden Prairie wins that one, they, as we talked about before, Darrell, would probably up their ranking from their current number 9 status, and that would set up a huge game next Friday coming up here.
Yes, it will, as Jefferson trying to move up in the standings, and Eden Prairie, if they win tonight, will try to secure that first place in the number 1 seeding. It'll be a big game here on this field. Leroy McFadden and Jay Foreman of Eden Prairie going against the fine Jefferson defense, and Lane Kiffin going against Eden Prairie. It'd be a big matchup with Vikings ties on both sides of the ball.
Oh yeah, as far as a storyline for that game, that'll be terrific. We could probably make a half-hour pregame out of that one. So Jaguars win at 10-0 tonight over Kennedy, and we'll be here next Friday as the Jaguars and the Eden Prairie Eagles go at it. This will be Jefferson's first meeting with Eden Prairie ever, so that should be quite a matchup, so we'll be looking forward to that. Darrell Sellers along with Mark Schultz saying so long again from the stadium tonight. The final again, Jefferson 10, Kennedy nothing. So long, everybody.